Okay, it's 10 o'clock. Let's call the meeting to order. For some of us, it's back-to-back meetings. So it's a back-to-back meeting day, so I think we got to get going here. Um, I guess what we should call it to order because we're all on Zoom. So I'm here. Paul, would you
I'm
please?
here.
Great. And Tracy,
Tracy Morano, present.
great. Everyone's here. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to start by opening up for public comment. If anyone has any comments they'd like to make, now's a good time. Seeing none. Okay, we'll move right into the next item, which is minutes. I think I'll start with the September 9th minutes because I think you all got a copy of those. Do we have any edits or changes to those minutes?
I think they were fine from my perspective, Mary.
Yep, and I was not at that meeting, and I will be sending you the August 5th minutes today. My apologies. I guess maybe I just want to take the opportunity. I think the cadence of the meetings has been challenging, for me personally. I just don't think that I can meet weekly. So that would just be my only feedback.
So let me see. We met the 5th. We were at a 2-week cadence. Does that work for you?
I mean,
Tw-
2 weeks.
Bi-weekly?
I feel like it's a lot of meetings, especially there's another tour this week. And then there's the full committee meeting. So I think if we can just look at the full schedule and maybe adjust that, because there's another meeting Friday that I couldn't be at. And I said I could do an hour, but the tours are like 3 hours. So I just think that we should just be cognizant of scheduling.
What tours? What tours?
It's Public Works, Public Safety and Fire.
Oh,
It's a
you missed the other one.
makeup
It's
tour,
makeup.
yeah.
It's makeup. Okay, great. And then are we meeting this Friday for the whole group? I haven't looked ahead that far.
I
I
thought,
think so.
yeah.
So Tracy, you want to put together a schedule that would work for you and we'll go over it the next time we meet?
Yeah, I think that I know I just can't come weekly because I have other commitments and other as do all of you and other meetings that you're going to. And and then it comes to the point that you have to pick and choose. So like I have to pick school committee over this group if I have a meeting scheduled with that. Sorry.
Right. So do you want to put together a
Yeah, sure.
schedule
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
that would be bi-weekly, or what I think bi-weekly, and and see if it conflicts with anything that any other.
Well, and have we talked to Sven and Judith about also like the cadence of their meetings versus our meetings, how often each of the other groups are meeting too?
No, I think it was pretty much up to us how often we thought we should meet. They really didn't give us any guidance around uh, how often the sub
Okay.
should
Yeah.
meet. It was really up to us.
So
Yeah.
maybe I'll touch base with both of them and
Well,
kind of see how we can fit this puzzle together.
the cadence for their meetings, the full group, the whole 15 of us, is every 3 weeks.
Right.
So there's going to be some week when, we might have to meet when we also have a Friday meeting. So I think Judith was saying that we'd probably meet every 3 weeks for a while and then have to pick up the pace a little bit.
Mm.
So
Hey, Mary, let me ask, I'm thinking of,
yeah,
we have a report to write, sort of our phase, I'll put phase 1A,
yeah,
sort of to feed
yeah.
into the larger group. When is on the schedule? I'm sort of working backwards in terms of cadence. When is that due? Do you remember? I should know that.
I don't remember. Is Shannon on the call? No, Shannon's not on the call.
Looks like Jess is on.
Yes,
Yeah.
what was the question? I'm sorry.
Judith had a schedule for this early, I'm calling this phase 1A.
Yeah,
So this is where
fine.
the individual groups move forward and then deliver this information to the larger group. And there's a report in some form that goes along with that. I'm not sure what the form is. I'm just wondering what the due date is for that. And whether that's still the date, and or are we slipping on that? Because I'm working backwards in terms of our cadence. We're gonna have to, we have work
Yeah.
to do to get up to that. So I don't know what that date is. So maybe for the next meeting, we ought to kind of look at the schedule.
So the
Um,
due date for what form, Paul?
if each of the three subgroups is preparing the deliverable, which is a report to the larger group. So we're reporting out on our findings.
Oh, for this working group here. Yes, I don't know
Sorry.
that date. That would be either Megan or Shannon.
Right.
I just kind of pop onto these to listen because obviously my building is one that's in play.
Oh,
Right.
okay. So it looks like our next meeting is the 26th of the full land working group. So maybe we get clarity from Judith
Yeah.
and then about dates and timeline.
So it's not this Friday, you said.
No, I have it down as the 26th. I have a calendar invite
Right.
for the 26th.
It is the 26th,
Yeah.
yes. And
Okay.
then every 3 weeks.
So maybe we could propose an agenda item to just go over, calendars or something like that.
So Tracy, are you okay with every 2 weeks? Until,
Yes, but like I mean, it just, I have other commitments during the day. I mean, and I think that this is I just want to make sure that we're not, that we're doing the right thing, right? And I want to make sure that we have this report, just have the right direction from Sven and Judith as to, what we should be doing. I mean, I know that a
we
few
do. I
people have
think we do.
dropped, I know a few people have dropped off the working group because they can't go to the Friday meetings. And that meeting on Friday, I'm gonna go for an hour. So it's just, it depends on the time, it depends on the schedule. So
Okay, I feel like we are in touch with Judith and Sven, at least I am, and I think Paul, I don't know. And I do think
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
the work that this subcommittee is doing is aligned with their expectations. So I think that's good. Um, as far the other issue that you bring up, which is the workload, yeah, that's with Phil Griffiths, it was the timing of the Friday meetings. He couldn't make Friday meetings. Um, and I think that Sven and Judith tried to figure out, can we have another day? And that didn't work. So with
right.
Matt Boger, which is really, he'll be great on the committee, and
Oh, Matt Boger, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. No, he'll be great. He'll be
he'll be
great.
great. So that's a good thing. But I guess what I'm also hearing though, are you wondering if this is too much of a workload for
For
you?
me personally, yeah, yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really am. And so if I'm not at a meeting and you have a quorum, then I mean, definitely go ahead with the meeting.
Well, I think it's really important that we have active participation from the school committee. So I guess I'd ask you to really think about whether, if you think that given that you're the chair of the school committee and that, having been the chair, I know the workload that
Yeah,
that entails and what's going on in the schools. If you think that this is too much for you, then I think you should let us know that and let the school committee know
Hey,
that.
let me suggest, I think today we're going to go through, um, we're going to assess our progress and what we need to do to finish this phase. So, I mean, maybe return to that, Tracy, when you take a
yeah,
look at what we need to do to fill in
yep,
the blanks to
yep,
meet this requirement. So, because I think we're well along, and I think we've kind of defined, I think for the most part, the pieces that we need, and so how to fill those in, come up with the short list and the recommendations, I think is where we are. So what I'm saying is, this issue of timing and workload, let's return to that at the end of the meeting, I think.
yep, great.
Okay. Okay, so given that, you want to pull up the matrix that you got for us, Paul?
Well, do you want to approve, did we approve the minutes?
Oh, yeah, approve the September
Yeah.
9th. Yeah,
I'll move that we approve the minutes of September 9th.
Second,
good. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Great. Okay,
aye.
good. One down.
Okay,
Okay, go ahead.
sharing is not, who's the host of the meeting?
Um, I am, but I don't have, let me see if I can make it so that you can share. Sharing is not turned on. Oh, God.
I think it's the town. It's probably the town.
Who's hosting this meeting? Is it Jess? No, it's not Jess.
I looks like I could try to, it's asking me to claim host.
Yeah, there's no host of the meeting right now.
Let me just see. Host key is a 6 to 10 digit number or sign in. Yeah, I don't know how I can take over hosting. I don't know how this was set up.
So I think this goes back into, I mean, not to bring up Zoom bombing. We should have multiple hosts at the meeting.
Yeah, it
Um,
does.
Yeah, it's strange that this isn't hosted.
Jess, this is Alan. It may be Shannon set it up.
Yeah,
And
she
if she
did.
sets up, she's the default host.
Do you
Yes.
need a
I don't know if
passcode?
she
What,
started the
what,
meeting.
what do you need, Jess? Do you need the passcode for the meeting?
It's
or the
asking
meeting?
me for, when I try to claim host, it's asking me for a pass key, which I don't have because I didn't, it's not, this isn't on my Zoom account, so I can't.
Is that the passcode for the meeting?
No,
No,
I
Paul,
No, it's to
I think
take
it's
over the
whoever sets
hosting.
it up is the host and
Right.
they then can
Yes.
co-host. And if Shannon set it up, I don't know if she started this and then got
I-
off. I'm sorry, I was.
I found the passcode.
Great.
What is it? I think it's 864910.
I don't think
Alright, let
that's
me-
gonna be able to claim the host though.
Yeah, that's a
Oh.
different
That's a
passcode.
Yeah,
different
that's the
code there?
passcode, like sign in.
Yeah,
I can
that's just
try it,
it.
Russ. Let me
Oh,
see.
okay.
What is it?
It looks like it's 864910, but I don't know if that'll get you. That's it's under Shannon's host name under
Yeah,
info.
no, it's invalid host
Yeah.
key.
Okay.
So maybe if we
Sorry.
could just get a message to Shannon, I'm happy to email Shannon if she starts a meeting to make two other people co-host just in case this happens again, because we actually can't shut down the meeting. At this point, if there was a Zoom bombing, we would just tell everybody to leave.
Can somebody contact Shannon right now and,
I'll send her an email.
okay.
And this is not unique to this subcommittee, just I think, we need to communicate with Shannon that any meeting that she sets up, it should be done the same way. I think it's the same risk if there isn't a co-host.
I'll put you and Mary on it, too, on the email.
Thank you.
So I emailed this matrix to you.
Yeah, you
So,
did. You
so
did.
I don't know if we could do this sort of just looking at it and talking about it. Do you want to start with that?
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
And so I had put together this matrix and I just revised it. When I looked at it, I said some things did make sense. And I didn't want to do too much filling in. But there were some data that were available I wanted to fill in here. So are you looking at the matrix right now?
No, I haven't pulled it up yet.
Okay.
Did you send that to my select board account?
I think so, yeah.
I think so. I also think it's in the meeting invite. I thought I saw it there also.
Well, that may
I
be the
got it.
previous version.
I'm looking at it. Okay.
Okay. So just to review what's on there, because Tracy, you are
Yep.
here. It's in the minutes of how we decided what these criteria were. And I took some liberty in sort of defining those. So just looking across the top, we said we're going to look at all these properties, whether they're properties we're going to vacate, potentially vacate, or properties we're going to move into, that there are similar criteria. Some were qualitative and some are quantitative. So there's just going across as the impact on productivity by the move in general. We weren't going to quantify that necessarily, but just a sense whether it was positive and negative. And we could, when we score these, you see a plus, we could do plus, plus, plus. We could talk about that. The impact on customer service, the public coming to get things done in various departments, what impact would this be? The operational savings, I actually filled in those numbers because that came from the work that Matt did on behalf of Kerry to look at the operational costs of the existing buildings.
Does that include utilities, Paul?
Yes, supposedly included everything. I think Russ took a look at that, and I think it is. Well, I think all these numbers need to be double checked, but those numbers came from that spreadsheet.
Okay.
So
That would
that's
be like for 24 Court Lane, that $9,500 would be electricity, water, all of that.
I believe so. I believe
Yeah.
so.
Sounds-
You'll note that I
Sounds
did
a little
have.
low.
Yeah, that sounds light.
Sounds low for that building. I mean, they have AC in that building too. I feel like looking at, my own bills, I think that sounds a little low.
Well, we have to double check all these
Yeah.
numbers, but I
Okay.
did. Let's pretend I didn't fill those in. They have to be
Okay.
filled in, but I do think we have, in terms of what data we need. I think we have those data somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, I haven't
Um,
verified everything in there, so, I haven't gone through the whole thing yet.
I mean, if
Okay.
you look down at Kai's Road, there's 32,000 for that whole building. That seems low too.
Mm.
These numbers seem low to me.
Okay. Um,
And Church
we,
Street, 55 Church Street is 19,000. Yeah, okay.
but we don't, you see the question mark there, Tracy, we don't have the operational cost for
Yeah.
Ripley. So we're gonna need that. So,
Yeah. I
so
agree.
those are the current operational costs theoretically, if those buildings were vacated, there would be savings there. Now, in terms of the next column, the revenue potential of these properties, that there were two pieces of that. One is if the property was sold, so what's the 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 assessment, the appraised value or the assessed value of the question mark. But we would, so we have to get that information, and then the revenue potential from taxes. So if somebody bought that property, what would be the tax revenue? So we don't have that information yet. So that would be quantitative. The flexibility and suitability really, I think, pertains more to the new the long list of consolidation options. And thinking about that, because we were saying, okay, the the properties that we would move into, how flexible or suitable they are to receive these programs and receive these folks. So I think I think these are NA for the existing vacancies, but we can talk about that. The staffing impact, positive or negative on the staff, that is qualitative, and we hadn't really thoroughly talked about how we would get that information, but it's an important criterion. And then competing interests at the site. So that's more for the consolidation targets. In other words, let's take Peabody, for example, it's a competing interest. Well, we could sell the building, we could do housing in the building. We don't have to, so there are competing interests for the site. So that criterion would probably apply to the consolidation targets rather than the vacancy targets. And then on the right here, I pulled together in the notes, what are we talking about? The staff listings, originally I had about 130 people, but I added the 133 and 135 Kais Road staff. I took the liberty of adding all the staff. Now, that number is incorrect because it would not be all the staff there, even if the administration, technical staff. But we're roughly talking about 150 to 200 people, two school programs. Um, Actually, there might be three school programs. Let me just stop for a minute. The school programs, we have the integrated program at Ripley.
Yes.
We have the Concord Carousel at Harvey
Harvey
Wheeler.
Wheeler. Yeah.
And then we have the CCC, which is renting space at the Harvey Wheeler site. And so I guess if we're talking about Harvey Wheeler, all or none, the CCC folks would be involved at all. Now they're a private group, but so I think we're probably talking about three school programs. Now whether the CCC would potentially move together with everything else is a question, but so that's why I didn't put
Yeah, and I think you're
three
also
there.
talking about recreation programs that can be school programs like before and after care, that I think sometimes the after school is at Hunt Gym, sometimes it's at the school sites. So I think we'd need more information on that because I know those programs are like bursting at the seams.
Right. So it's more than people is the point. We have to and then we have senior programming at Harvey Wheeler. So the space, I know that Russ has been thinking about all this is not just people space, it's programming space into whatever I'll call the consolidation targets we're talking about. So dropping down to the bottom here, I X'd out excuse me, a couple of things because I don't think the revenue potential for a sale applies to the new uh, buildings unless, well, I mean, if we sold Peabody, maybe those should be X'd out. So this is just something
Well,
I did last night. Go
don't
ahead.
we have I mean, don't we have the appraisal for Peabody and and all of that, like we actually do have that appraisal.
We do,
Yeah.
but,
Well, if
I
we're
wasn't,
trying to figure out the opportunity cost of like selling these buildings, I think we need, we have an assessed value. I don't think we have an appraisal.
I thought that Anthony did an appraisal of Peabody. I mean, I remember going to a select board meeting, they talked about it. I might be wrong, but I feel like it was like,
I think he talked about it. I'm not sure we ever did it. So I think getting these, we need appraised values to figure out the revenue potential from taxes.
right,
And we need the assessed, I said that reversed. We need the assessed value to figure out the revenue potential, and we need the appraised value to figure out the market value if we were to sell it. So, and I do think we need these in, even at the list of potential consolidation sites, which you've Xed out here, Paul, because there's an opportunity cost of, like, for example, not selling Peabody. So we need to know what we're giving up.
well, we certainly would X out any new building 2229, right? We certainly would. So the Ripley piece is on the upper. We have Ripley on the vacancy part. So we're going to have an assessed value up above. We
There,
could
right,
yeah.
right.
And the warden's headquarters at MC, I don't think.
Who knows? Yeah, who knows?
So I mean, we have to refine this. Some are Xed out and some are not. I'm just
yeah.
kind of.
Can we ask Carrie to, if there is an appraisal, it might just be good to have in the folder of everything,
And
of Peabody in particular?
Hi,
Okay.
this is Carrie. I can respond.
great.
I had mentioned to Paul I'm driving, so my ability to respond is limited, but we do not have an appraisal. We have work that the assessors did on assessed value, and that's all
Okay.
that we have.
Okay,
Paul, it might be really helpful on this matrix here under the revenue potential column to put, that's where we need the appraised value, and under the revenue potential for taxes, that's where we need the assessed value. Do you have this up where you can actually make a change? I can make a change, but you want to hold the master and make that change?
yeah, it's a Google sheet, so you should be able to make it. Can I just ask a question about that? So what if, and maybe you guys discussed this at the last meeting, how can you determine what the potential revenue is? So say, let's just take, let's take a larger, say 55 Church Street. Say you sell that building.
Yep.
We know what the assessed value is, but you sell the building and then say, I don't know what they're gonna put there, but how could we, like, say there were 5 houses put there. That's, I'm not suggesting that that's what they put there, but say you sell it to developer, there are 5 houses, the taxes might look very different than if you put something else there. So how can you really determine what the potential tax revenue would be?
I mean, I think our job here is to operate at the 10,000 foot level. So we have to put a number there, and maybe we put a range there, an educated guess. So I don't think you're right. It really depends.
Or like Ripley's probably a better example. Ripley's got a ton of land there. If you sell Ripley, I mean, a wide variety of things could go there that would have different tax implications.
Yep. Yep.
So I think in
That's
our
a hard, a range might be better than just a set.
yeah,
number.
or in our report, we state an assumption. Our assumption is that the revenue potential is based on X housing, or we just have to make an assumption and state it. Right? Yeah, and I think our final decision is not going to hinge so much on the exact number. It's going to, it'll be so the cumulative numbers. But you're right. We're going to have to make a guess based on an assumption that we state in the report.
Yeah. Yeah. We could maybe put like 3 scenarios of potential reuse, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it seems complicated. Like, say you sell Ripley and you're going to consolidate everything at Peabody. So you're going to have a bucket of money from the sale of Ripley, but you're also going to have, taxes that you're going to collect from whatever goes on there. And you're going to need that money to rehab Peabody. So it just seems like there are a lot of moving pieces that I'm not sure. I mean, we're only going to have to make assumptions.
Yeah, it's complicated stuff, and I think our job here at this phase is to try to simplify based on plausible assumptions. I'll put it that way.
And just options that we might have
Yeah, so
or
right
scenarios.
now I've changed the headings. I said, revenue potential based on assessed value for the sale. And for the taxes, I could put revenue potential based on housing. We could put a housing assumption for each of those, or we could put, let's think about that, but I think we have to put a,
Paul, the
yeah.
revenue potential is the appraised value. That's the appraised value,
I'm
right?
sorry.
And the tax is the assessed value. And to get back to Tracy, your question earlier about, oh my gosh, who's going to decide what happens with Ripley, for example? I think our job at this point is but to collect data to
Mhm.
help us come up with a short list of options and the pros and the cons of each.
Okay.
And then it's when we get together with the larger group, I think that's when all of these moving parts have to be sorted out.
Yeah.
So when I think ahead like that, I kind of I get overwhelmed and I lose my direction. I get lost. But if I come back to this and say, okay, at this stage, we're being asked to collect data and advocate a short list with evidence behind it. By evidence, I mean that we've been able to quantify some things and qualify other things. So
Yeah.
when I
Yeah.
think like that, I figure, okay, I know what to do for the next few weeks or
Yeah,
months.
yeah. I think that's right. I look in my previous life, I dealt with lots of complicated issues. The first thing you do is what are the simplifying assumptions to start out, and then you can go from there. But that's what we have to do to, at this stage. I mean,
Yeah.
later on, when this is put into a real plan, if it's put into a real plan, then the exact uses and the exact numbers will need those.
Right. Yeah.
Alan has his hand raised here.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just kind of listening and certainly not an expert in this, and I know none of us are. I think in terms of, you're not going to get precision on any of this. I think you're asked to collect data if it exists or identify gaps where it doesn't. And the whole idea of an appraisal requires expertise that this subcommittee doesn't have, but identifying the need means you've been thinking through, and the appraisal is going to be based on some of these are going to have ranges. And, Paul, I go to I don't know what your term you use for using dollar signs rather than values. I think the symbol matters as far as is it, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions. That's the best you're going to do. And I think
Yeah.
that's, just my thoughts. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me just talk a little bit about the scoring here. Although so for productivity impact, I think it's either positive or negative. And
Well,
we
wait,
could.
Paul, can
I'm
I just,
sorry. Go
I
ahead.
think we've got a little bit of data there around how many trips do town employees make when they drive from building to building to do their work. That I don't think that's going to be a big number, but it's a number, so we can put some number in there. Um, but I think most of the productivity impacts or hopefully improvements are going to be hard to quantify.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of left it qualitative
Yeah.
overall. Um, that may not turn out to be a very useful category. We may find that they're all pluses or all negatives. So we'll have to see, but it's certainly a criterion. Uh, Russell, hi, hand raise.
Yeah, the miles are one thing, but the real metric is time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Um,
you're right. Yes.
I know in particular, my guys, when they're moving around town doing their jobs, they can spend an hour or more a day in a vehicle going from place to place. And you know, that's a huge productivity killer, especially if we're responding to non-planned emergencies or things we have to deal with, and we're bebopping all around town. It really eats up the day.
But
Well,
how
to
much of
your,
that, Russ, is just the nature of that role, and how much of it is because we don't consolidate? We don't have consolidated office space.
Yeah, that's exactly the reason it's
Yeah.
like that, you know, and we have, you know, our traffic is an issue, especially in Concord Center and Route 2 areas. So yeah, that's a function of the role right now, but if that goes away, you know, then your man hours actually drop, and over time, you know, you start looking at you know, attrition just by natural attrition on that end.
Russ,
So there's a lot of savings built in.
good point, good point. Could you quantify that for us? By quantify, I mean just tell us how many hours you think a week are being lost because of that. Do you think you could?
Yeah,
That would,
we'll throw something together. It's not gonna be scientific.
I
It's
understand,
gonna
that's
be a best
fine.
guess estimate.
Yeah, great.
But I would estimate it's at least 1 FTE in time a year on the road waiting in traffic.
Well, I just want to volunteer. This is for all operations. So some operations
Right.
require transportation as part of the routine, and others don't. You know, some people go to work and they're stationed there for the day and they leave. Others, like water, sewer, police, fire, facilities,
Right,
CMLP, have crews that are routinely, you know,
right.
mobile. So we just, you know, I think capturing that's important.
Yeah,
So like I had a real life example this week. Lori and Andrew Namici met with the DEI Commission at 55 Church Street. So they're losing 15 minutes getting there because you got to get through Concord Center and West Concord Center. And then it's 15 minutes on the way back. So for one meeting, for an hour meeting, it's 30 minutes of travel time. So if all of, you know, if all the town offices were together, you could walk down the hall and that'd be great. So just
So,
those examples come up frequently.
for me, this boils down to, Mary, a qualitative assessment. Because if you look at each one of these properties on the top, 24 Court Lane and Harvey Wheel, all of these, each one of them has productivity measured in different ways. For us to get real numbers is going to be somewhere between impossible and counterproductive. I think I mean, we could
Well-
probably do that. We could probably do that for facilities. We could probably say, Russ, from the facilities point of view, maybe, and we could put a number next to Knox Trail, but you know, how do you put a number next to Court Lane or the planning group? You know, how do you get those numbers? So I think.
You know what I'm hearing though, in the side, I remember talking with Judith about this specifically, and she was saying that whenever you can get numbers because even though you know they're really kind of like wild ass guesses, it's an attempt to show that this has real dollar impact. So I understand that there's a lot of things that aren't going to be captured by us trying to quantify how many hours does an FTE spend stuck in traffic or traveling across town. But I would like to take a crack at putting a number next to that.
If for each of these rows,
Yeah, I'll try.
okay. So what you're saying is this probably should be, it may end up being qualitative, but we should try for quantitative numbers here.
Well,
So what would be,
we
what would be
could-
the metric? Would it be a dollar metric or would it be?
Absolutely. It would be a dollar metric, right?
Okay,
I mean, because I think, aren't we trying to do all this in pretty much when we can with dollars?
yeah, I'm just saying it's ambitious.
Well,
Okay,
I might come back in 4 weeks and say, forget it. It's not either a big enough number to think about or
All right.
I can't get it or, but
I have to
Okay.
volunteer. If Russ just volunteered to do this, this is a lot of work potentially to hear in 4 weeks. Oh, forget about it. We'll already have, I just don't know what he can commit to. Quite honestly, Russ, I think he volunteered. You could do it for facilities.
Just for facilities.
Operations have unique, it's a it's a whole it's a whole process to try and understand. And I can tell you, Russ, unless you know something I don't, which you can volunteer it, is it possible? I don't know.
Yeah, I can ballpark my staff's time on the road. And it really can't extrapolate out to any other use except for facilities based on our jobs and roles. Like the highway guys, they go to a spot, they work for a while, they're there for a while.
No,
Grounds
I
guys,
understand that, but I just
Okay,
want to make
okay.
sure the
yeah, we,
subcommittee
yeah,
doesn't
we
have
can't.
Yeah,
an
okay.
expectation that you can't fill. That's all.
Oh, yeah, I'm just doing facilities.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
how about this? How about this, Paul? How about this? We
Yeah.
could say that it would have a positive impact on productivity, and for example, and we just have some examples that have dollars associated with it.
Well, yeah, I think that, or we could actually put a number next to this, just looking at facilities and maintenance and, I, I wouldn't ask Council on Aging, I wouldn't ask Dan to put a productivity number, because whose productivity are we talking about there? It's probably staff. But I think Russell could come closer to putting a number on it based on
Well, Jess
facility
has given
maintenance.
me some numbers, and Nate Smith has given me some numbers.
Yeah,
So we can just have examples. We don't have,
okay,
just, we think it will have a positive impact on productivity, for example. How's that?
okay.
Okay,
Yeah, that sounds good.
okay.
Um, Customer service impact, qualitative, or, I mean, I don't know, how do you quantify that?
I don't know either.
Okay, so that's kind of positive or negative, and then we could give examples. I think giving examples, what we're talking about,
Yes, a
I
few
think
examples.
is really
Okay,
important.
okay.
The operational savings, clearly we can get numbers, the revenue, the appraised value, we can get numbers.
Well,
But
wait, wait, can we slow down for a minute? The
Yeah.
operational savings, right? We got to go back and check these numbers and make sure they include utilities.
Yeah,
Where do we fill in how do we get Ripley and Hunt? Do we want to talk about that now? How do we get those numbers? Like, I think,
I think we have Hunt. We have Hunt. I know that.
okay,
I
good.
know that Lee Jackson has Hunt, and or facilities.
And I have an email into Bob and Lori about Ripley. I know they can pull it out easily from, now we have like 3 years of budgets that we look at, right? So they have the budget they're planning for, the budget we're in right now, and the budget that hasn't closed. So I'm gonna go with last year's numbers, not what we're planning for FY27, unless you want me to do that. You just have to tell me which year you'd like.
FY26 this year.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, and then revenue potential, this is where we need appraised values. And I thought I heard Judith say that she had access to a database. Does anybody?
For town properties?
Yes, appraised value, yeah, appraised value.
I think she does have access to that.
Yeah. So we
And is
might,
that different from like the GIS?
yes,
Yeah, that's different. I do think I remember her saying that when we were at the meeting on Kai's Road
yeah,
a while ago.
what we're trying to get at here is market value, not the value that we use when they calculate our taxes, because that usually lags behind. So, and market value for commercial properties is calculated very different, or assessed value for taxes on commercial properties are calculated differently than their market value. So I think that Judith had some sources that we could use for market value of these properties. And the next column, which is the revenue potential, that would go by assessed value. And then
Right.
we simply apply the tax rate to the assessed value. And I think I haven't looked it up, but I don't know, do we have assessed values for all of these properties? Does anybody, I didn't look that up. I should have done that.
It's
On,
available on the property cards. if
Property
you read-
cards, yeah.
there we go. We got it. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward, I hope. If the property cards line up with the way we've scoped, bounded these kinds of properties.
Okay.
You just have to make sure you include the land and the building.
Right,
The property cards.
right. Okay. And that's available on GIS. I mean, that should be something we can look up, sitting in front of our computer. So that's good. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, the flexibility and suitability refers to the not so much to the current buildings, but the new space, right? Right?
Yeah, yeah, help me remember what we were thinking here.
Um, well, we were certainly the suitability, we're talking about the environmental, just the status of the building and the flexibility of the layout. For example, Ripley, the flexibility in the layout is probably much lower than the layout of Peabody. So,
Got it.
right.
Okay. Yep. So you're right. This applies more to the targets as opposed to the places we're
Right.
thinking of vacating. Okay.
Right. And that's probably high, medium, or low. I don't know how else to quantify that.
Yeah.
And again, examples. The staff and staffing. So staffing is sort of recruiting and retention, and staff is sort of morale. So it's a combined impact. How do people feel about that, and is it going to help us in terms of retention and recruiting? So that's pretty complicated category. And
Where do we capture potential savings in FTEs because of consolidation? So, for example, we might need less admin staff if we consolidate functions. Is that in this column?
it certainly could be, that there, or maybe it's a new column. Maybe we could have missed that. I would think it should be a separate column because I'm thinking here, the staff and staffing impact is different than an FTE impact. I mean, they're certainly related. What do you think?
I guess what consolidation of staff are you referencing?
I'm
Town
thinking,
staff, school and town?
no, well, what I was thinking just now, as I said this, is if, for example, we were to consolidate two functions that are very widely separated in the town, um, widely separated buildings, and we were to consolidate them, they might be able to share an admin support person, whereas right now they have dedicated. I think that's a real savings potential that we have here. I don't want to show it by site, by location, because I think that will maybe upset people, but there is definitely an opportunity here that I think we want to capture.
I agree, and I'm just wondering that may be a separate topic once we look at all of these properties and the number of staff and who they are.
Mhm.
And then, if they all get together, what kind of efficiencies?
That might be
and-
something Carrie could help us with as far as, what is a range of FTE savings that we could achieve if we were to co-locate some of these departments?
Yeah, it's kind of a Carrie and Lori conversation. I mean, it was the question that Mark Martinez asked during our site visit, right?
Yeah.
Right,
And I
right.
do think that that's beyond the scope of this group. I do
Right.
think that's at the professional level. And I would say, even within the town departments, that would be Carrie's role to kind of, figure that out and not this group's. That might be something we benefit from, but I don't think it's this group should go down that path.
I don't
Yeah,
think,
I
I don't
wouldn't,
think
I
it's
wouldn't
up
put
to
it
us.
out there at all,
Well, it's,
but except to allude to it. Expected savings in personnel over time with consolidation, something like that.
Well, I think it's an important topic. We may not want to quantify that or
Yeah.
be quite detailed, but certainly we could as we could talk about the types of savings. We could talk about IT, we could talk about admin, we could talk about HR as potential savings. But
Yeah.
So
I don't know how far we
yeah.
would go on that.
I think, and I can just give you the school example of consolidating our middle schools. FinCom asked us for that commitment of, $550,000. And I think what happens with the staff, and we do have to, keep that in mind, is the staff then looks at like, okay, I'm getting riffed. And that RIF is reduction in force with, it's very much
Yeah.
the education, lingo. But I do think we have potential for people to be like, oh my God, my job's getting riffed, or, I'm this person's admin and now I'm going to get riffed. Like I think we have to be careful of that and cognizant of what that does to morale in the town.
I do understand. It's just that the reason we're doing this is because we're trying to increase efficiencies and we're trying to save money.
Yeah.
And I think we need to keep that. I think it's to be transparent with the town. I mean, when the schools came to the town to ask for the original feasibility study, it was the schools that put out the number as far as savings that they expected, and that included some staff reduction. I mean, that was very open and very
Yes.
honest with the town as far as we want to consolidate schools because we think we're bringing these benefits to the town, and it was a good argument. So I think we need to be cognizant of the fact that that's why we're doing it. We're doing it because we want efficiencies and we want to save money. So I don't have a problem with being transparent about that. I agree. It's not our job to decide which department gets consolidated or which department gets or which admin person is now, you know, covering two departments when they used to be two people. That's not our call, but we should highlight it and get those potential savings from Kerry and, maybe Dr. Hunter. I don't really know, but on the school side. So I
Well,
Yeah.
don't,
again, I think, Mary, at this level, at the high level,
yeah,
I would definitely put that in our report. I would definitely talk about the types of FT reductions. I don't know if I put a, at this point, I don't know if I tried to estimate the numbers or exactly who they are.
no,
At
no,
this
no,
point.
no one's talking about names.
No,
No,
or even,
who
even
they
not,
are, or
or
even
even,
functions at all.
Yeah.
But I think we need to
okay.
keep it out there as one of
Yeah.
that's our need, and it was in our needs assessment. Our need
Yeah,
was,
and I think a general statement, absolutely, that's totally appropriate to be determined by, the town manager and the superintendent or whatever it is. Like that could be
and give it a range.
yeah.
I'm, I'm not afraid of giving it a range and a number, but
Well, when we put the pen to paper and we assign responsibility, who's going to write one section, somebody will take a shot at this and we'll take a
you
look
can
at it.
write this one, okay? Okay.
Yeah, but I do think we need to include it at least qualitatively and specifically maybe in terms of types of reductions. But
Yeah,
let's put a pin on that.
maybe
A
it's
pin in that.
it's a decision for Carrie and Laurie to figure out how they want to communicate this to the public.
Okay, so as far as the evaluation matrix, would you want another column in the matrix, or you want to kind of deal with that separately? Because we were talking about staff and staffing impact, and there it would be
It was in there.
largely, yeah. How would we capture? Let's go back to staff and staffing impact.
Yeah,
How would we or should we capture impact on morale, or my
yeah,
sense of
yeah.
this is that initially there may be a negative impact when people just are not used, but I think over the long term, there might be a positive impact. But I'm just kind of guessing how, and that complicates how we'd actually address it because in what time frame we're talking about it. Short term it's upset, long term it might be people might be happy about that. So I'm not.
Well, I've thought about this. In fact, I brought it up at one of our larger meetings as far as change management, getting people used to what's happening and get them excited about a new place is something that I think we need. Our subcommittee would recommend that we do some change management, maybe we bring in consultants to help people make that change. We're not going to do that. That's not our job, but I think it's going to be one of our strong recommendations that if we move forward with the consolidation, that we do work around change management. And that's getting people excited about the change, getting them excited about where they can go and how they can make this new space their space, and also getting them, you know, comfortable with the realities of why we're doing this. So it's not our job, but I
Yeah,
think,
no, I think it's important. I think you're right. Should we then eliminate this criterion
no, I
from
think, I think, well, this was,
from the
it's a
matrix?
kind of a placeholder for this conversation that we just had,
Yeah,
right? So I think it's fine to leave it there. And, we know it means there's going to be some potential for FTE reductions. And also it means that we have a strong recommendation for some help around change management.
yeah.
And
So
they're aware of that. Carrie's aware of that. She's very aware of that.
I think in terms of the matrix, this requires a narrative
Yes,
rather than a
yeah,
score.
yes, yeah, I think so
Yeah.
too.
Um. Any other comments on the criteria for the moment? I
Paul, can
want
I
to
just
read.
Alan has his
offer?
hand up.
Yeah, I just
Look,
want to affirm, I'm glad to hear this conversation. I was a little concerned before. I think you're right. I think sensitivity matters. I think that was identified early, staff hearing rumors about we're moving tomorrow. So that's important for the committee to be aware of. I agree with Mary. It's a transition that needs to be done in a way that's, thoughtful. I'd be very leery of individual, interests because, I work in, I live in Maynard and I can get to work in 15 minutes. That's great. I live in Carlisle. We don't want it driven by individual interests. It's programmatic interests. And I think what we're really talking about is better space for operations. And so, I think that's ultimately when you're talking about having an environment people want to work in, I think, you might have hermits out there, but most people want to be able to work and engage with their, coworkers in a convenient way. And we know we don't have that today. And I think that's part of the message. We're trying to, if it can be realized, that's what will be realized. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Alan. Carrie did send out an email today to staff
Yeah,
addressing some of the things that we're talking about. It was very good. Um, and I think we can get people excited. I mean, how many times do we hear from people that there was a miscommunication between departments and their frustration? So we've got some real opportunities here to get people excited about this as well.
Can you forward me that email, Mary?
Yeah, I can.
Be helpful to.
Yeah.
Imagine going to the same break area and, the water cooler, and you're now talking with someone who you wouldn't normally see, and it's just, connection. So that stuff
Exactly.
matters.
Yes, yes. And really, I mean, Alan, how many times do you hear frustration because, something fell through the cracks going from 141 Kais Road to 135 Kais Road?
Yes.
So-
As I like to say, you got to have a friend before you need a friend. And you're only going to establish friendships if you're, talking to people when it's not always business.
Yeah. No, so there's a lot of positive, yeah. I think I think people, many people will be happy about this, but it's work to do, and it's not our work, but it's something we need to make people aware of, and they already are. So good.
any other thoughts in the moment on the criteria? Because I want to go down the buildings as well, kind of revisit that. th- we were talking about data needs as we went through this, Mary. So
Yep.
I think we've identified those. We'll have to summarize those in the minutes here, but
Who's taking
uh,
minutes? Are you taking minutes, Paul?
I thought Tracy was taking minutes.
You know what? I'll take them because you know what? I'm gonna really work on that AI summary.
Great.
By August, and it will be quick.
Great.
This will be a learning experience. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
This last column, competing interests at the site, it does not apply to the long list of potential moves and building vacancies. It applies to the competing interests for the sites that, and it's largely competing interests for Peabody, Ripley, well, and even 2229 Main Street, if I think they're competing, we haven't done land use planning for that site, but, and then maybe a yes, no, I'm not clear on that. Any thoughts on that competing interests category?
Ah, I don't remember what, I think
Well,
we
well,
put,
the thought was,
go
okay,
ahead.
if Peabody is a target for consolidation, what other interests might there be in that site?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a clear one. And do we apply that kind of question to the other sites? And I think that's a narrative. It's a yes, no, and it's a narrative as well.
Paul, when we added this column, I thought we were trying to think of how do we integrate this with the work of the other subcommittees? Wasn't that part of?
Yeah, yeah, that's another one. So that's the competing interest. So
Right, right.
I don't. So Peabody, for example, I think there's I don't want to. I think as far as public works or fire and safety, there's no competing interest there, but there is a competing interest in terms of other possible uses of the site beyond our work, right? Of
Yes,
Peabody.
there's voices asking it to be, asking for us to sell it.
To sell it or put housing or sell and put housing.
Yes,
Yes. So they're both competing interests, both within our group and outside of our group.
that's right.
Um, as far as Ripley, um, I guess it's possibly the same thing. We could do other things at that school,
Right.
sell it. Um, the MCI warrant, I think that's sort of outside of our scope because we're not in control of that. But yes, they're competing interests. I don't know what they are. Um, I don't know if the MCI advisory group specifically has talked about the Warrens building at all. Um,
I think they make some vague references to it as a possible site for either a museum or a hotel, but that is so abstract that I wouldn't.
yeah,
And everything up there is on hold because we don't know what the redesign of Route 2 is going to be.
yeah,
So that's, oh, man, that's,
And I feel like I mean, we literally don't have any type of date for when we could possibly even build anything or do anything on MCI. I almost feel like that's like, I feel like that's like 10 years down the road. I don't even feel like that's short term. I feel like
yeah,
it may be 5 years, but if
yeah,
we're
no,
lucky.
I think you're right. It's,
well, it's certainly not a subject, as far as I know, of a short-term conversation between the town and DCAM. So,
I mean, I just
uh,
wonder if we even remove that because is that, is our charge to do something before the 5 year mark? I mean, I think we need like dates of when we could possibly do something there. And if it's
Can
5 years from now, maybe that's not an option.
I want to throw something into the conversation that's really kind of an outlier, but I think I'm going to try. And if you think I've gone way off the reservation, if I've gone crazy, let me know. Some people have said that the Peabody School as a site doesn't match Concord's aesthetic. Okay. I don't agree with it. I kind of like that type of architecture, but some people say it doesn't really meet Concord's aesthetic. We like historical buildings. And the idea has been floated that, well, maybe we would go to Peabody, maybe for 10 years, 15 years, and if the warden's building becomes available, we would restore that and move there in 10 to 15 years. So I don't know what to do with that idea, except maybe keep it in there as a possibility. What do
Do
other,
you feel like that's a widespread idea?
if you talk with people that are interested in historic preservation, um, you know,
I guess like, aren't we talking about functionality and cost savings?
well,
Like, I'm like,
we're talking about moving our municipal offices, which is also, if we were to move, for example, the townhouse there, it's our kind of signature to the world. And, I'm trying to, I'm trying to channel what they're
yeah.
saying because me personally, I don't share that sensibility, but I'm trying to channel what they would say. And it's, we have historic buildings, we have a lot of historic districts. That's what makes Concord special. And to have our town buildings in this, 60s architecture or whatever that architecture is, does not really portray who we are. And one of the things that I would say would be, well, okay, well, then maybe we would stay there for 10, like I said, 10, 15 years and keep the Warden's building as something in the background. Or go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's an interesting point, and yes, it definitely is an outlier, but it's worthy discussion. So my reaction is, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to anybody, it's very idealistic
Yeah.
and it's thoroughly impractical, and it's thoroughly financially inadvisable.
Uh-huh.
Because if we're going to move into Peabody for 10 years, we're going to have to spend millions of dollars fixing that building up. We're not going to move it as is. I mean, maybe we would, instead of spending X dollars, we spend 0.5X, but it's still a money issue, and we'd be kind of throwing that money down the drain, I think, unless we repurpose Peabody for something else. So I think from a financial and practical point of view, it's probably
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
Like, I
it's-
totally get it. Like, I get it. I love the townhouse, right? I love having that in the center. I used to love when you could like buy your trash bags there and pay your taxes and do all that in one building. I loved it, right? I get that. But there's also like some type of reality. And I look at Bedford did it and they got rid of their town hall. It was super controversial. They kept it as some type of town space that I
Yep.
think they like. I don't know what they do in it, but their offices are now all consolidated into an old build. Like, it's kind of a parallel to what we do. The old center school is all of Bedford's offices are in one building, but they still have that the Bedford Town Hall.
Yes.
I think that people are going to freak out if we get rid of the townhouse. I do agree with that.
well, we
But I
haven't.
don't think we should like be fixing Peabody and then move 10 to 15 years from now. That does not seem like a good idea. Just
We've had no discussion amongst this group about
That I
quote
do.
unquote getting rid of the townhouse.
yeah.
The only discussion we've had is moving certain functions out of the townhouse,
Yes.
but keeping the town clerk's operations there seems to be in my mind, kind of set in stone.
No, I don't know. Well, it might be the visitor center. Maybe it's
Yeah, it'll be some. Well,
but
yes,
it
I
will
mean,
stay it
it's,
will stay a town building, absolutely.
Yeah.
it'll stay a town building. It'll probably be the clerk will stay there. Things may move out, other things may move in, but it's going to be a town building.
Yeah,
Russell,
if you're looking at the Warden's building over at MCI, which I would love as a town hall, but
Yeah.
really, we're 10 years out on that
Yeah.
reality. Right now, one of our water sewer guys is raising the flag over there about who's taking care of that building this winter, who's winterizing it. I mean, there's an ongoing maintenance. If that building isn't maintained immediately,
Yep.
get ready for this winter, it's going to have all kinds of water problems in the spring, and it will have a rapid demise and it'll be gone. So there's a cost associated with hanging on to an empty building for 10 years, if that ever happened, while you're doing other buildings. And we do have antique buildings. We would keep the townhouse that we currently have. That would still be selectmen's chambers, I would believe. You'd have that as your seat of government, and in a visitor center is a great idea over there with a maybe a satellite clerk's office or something. But yeah, there's all kinds of things we can do. We can meet every goal that we're talking about. But consolidating is one of the keys, as we know, and that will save a substantial amount of money to do the other things we have to do and can't do.
well, I appreciate you bringing that up, but the townhouse is not going away. The fact that Peabody might not be a quintessential Concord building, well, Ripley isn't a quintessential Concord
No.
building either, right?
Kai's
And
Road isn't really either. I mean, like, you could look at all of
yeah.
them and say, like,
Well,
Kai's Road is actually
Well,
Kai's.
actually, it is. Kai's Road
It
is.
is.
Kai's Road
It is. It is.
well, 141 is, but I don't know what the other building.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the
Right.
engineers, but anyway, thank you all for taking the time to have this discussion. I think this came up because we were looking at the MCI ordinance. Maybe we just say, this is too far down the warden's building is not gonna be on our short list because it's too far, the time horizon doesn't meet our requirements. How's
Okay, so should we take it off of the matrix?
No, well, when we get to the short list, we might take it off
Okay, okay,
and that's why, right?
okay,
And can I just
okay.
mention Shannon popped in and made us all co-hosts, so thank you, Shannon. Because should we have to shut the meeting down, we have the ability to.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, everyone.
okay.
We're clearly still working through some of the kinks of these extra security settings.
Totally
Okay,
fine.
so,
You should
Welcome,
be able to
Shannon.
share. Yeah.
Welcome.
okay,
Glad-
so, thank you. So I'm sharing my screen now.
There we go.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, so I've been kind of taking notes and doing all sorts of things. Um, so I think we're talking now about the buildings. We're kind of moving from criteria. And we're gonna have to return to all of these, but
Right.
we're fleshing these out, how we're gonna measure them and whether they're the right criterion and looking at, we've identified data needs and I think we've identified where they're gonna come from. We probably need to revisit those before we adjourn for this meeting, but Mary, I want to go down the buildings again just to kind of as a recap
Go ahead.
on those.
Yep.
So these are the buildings where we have staff that, at least in our initial judgment, are quote unquote relocatable. That they're,
Yep.
you know, and so 24 Court Lane, assessor's office, 141 Kais Road. I have added, we've gone back and forth on 133 and 135 Kais Road. And Alan, I think we're not talking about all staff in there, but some staff, and we'd have to kind of look at what that staff is. So those buildings are possibly up for grabs, and the staff, some of them are possibly movable, some to Peabody and some to somewhere else. Or anyway, so that's why those buildings are on here. 55 Church Street, along with Harvard Wheeler. Are definitely in the mix here. 37 Knox Trail facilities, those are already in motion, moving. I think Ripley is on here. And the Visitors Center is on here, 50 Main Street, because it theoretically could be moved somewhere else. The fate of that building is a little bit interesting because we own the building but not the land. So it's a little bit different. And then, but Hung Chim is something that we've kicked around.
Yeah.
As far as I know, we haven't had any discussion with the recreation staff, but it's on here.
Is
As
Jess
a-
still on the call? Jess, are you still on the call?
I don't think she is.
Okay. Yeah, we talked
But-
about, Paul, you and I
Yeah.
talked about maybe add some admin. I don't know.
Yeah, but this is a building that's not going to be vacant, and it's not going away. This is sort
That's
of
right.
like the townhouse.
That's
mean,
right.
I could also, the townhouse should really be on here.
Isn't it?
Because it's a building that some of the staff might be moved, that the building
Yes.
still
Yes,
are.
good.
Um,
I think that will make people feel better when they see that.
yeah, yeah. Let me just I'll just put a different color coding. Buildings say people maybe relocated, something like that.
Absolutely.
And so though I don't think we've missed anything here. There are other town buildings with town staff like library and public safety. Public safety is different. Library's different.
Paul, I'm going to remind the group, sorry to speak up. We're
Yeah.
talking buildings with public works. It's not just about structures. It's areas of, where we do work. And Mary had mentioned this the last meeting. I think it's important we capture, we have municipal lands that could be repurposed, when we're talking about efficiencies. One of them we've talked about is What about over at the existing wastewater treatment plant? Yes, it's leased for agriculture now. I think we have to be genuine, put it on the radar as, could it be repurposed? That's a question. The landfill, the compost site, I will say, I'll hold on to that with my cold dead arms, because I know the importance of it, but I know there's interest in could that be repurposed? There's a value to it. But I think if we're talking about our assets, those are sorts of things we should probably capture unless you don't want to. But I just want to remind, those came up before, and I'd leave it to this group whether you really want, you want to flag them. But I know conversations are happening about those areas, and I'm not sure if we want to,
Alan,
capture them here or not.
I think we want to capture those out, but this group is municipal consolidation.
Got
We certainly want, it's not the public works operational side. It's not public safety either. So I'm just, are you suggesting that we add properties for this municipal consolidation effort, or are these? I don't think so. I think these
I
are.
don't know. I want to put it on the radar in case it comes up, and we are prepared for where does that fit? That's, I
Yeah.
guess all I'm saying.
I think it belongs in the conversation with the larger group. From our perspective, it would only fit into a potential site to go to. And I don't think any of those three would be even on our long list. I mean,
Yeah.
well, actually, Paul Tracy, you can say, do we have any interest in consolidating next to the existing wastewater treatment plant? Do we have any interest in
I
consolidating?
don't think so.
That
Well,
that is beyond my pay grade, I think, and I would defer
And the
to.
landfill, likewise, I don't think we're considering that. And what was the third one, Ellen? I forget.
I think those were just the two. It was the wastewater treatment plant with it was currently leased for ag, and then
Well, you got a strip of land next to Alcott, right?
yeah, and then that was on water supply where we've talked about, but that would probably, and I think we talked a little bit with our subgroup on the public works. Given its water supply land, it is a act of legislation to change that, just for what it's worth.
Okay, yeah, I think this is something that the larger group might want to consider, but for us, just looking at municipal consolidation, these aren't potential sites that we would consolidate to.
Great. Okay, good.
Well, so let me ask a question. So, those other sites in general are sort of sites where we have to build something, right? We have to build a new building.
Right,
We have 2229 Main Street on here because it's not spoken for, but we have to build a new building. And of course, that has, we could estimate the costs on that. The
Yep.
time frame on that, we literally couldn't do anything before 2030
right.
on that site. So that may not fit into a time frame. Although it's 2025, I forget it's not 2030 is not that far away. It's almost 2026. Wow,
Yeah.
4 years. So should 2229 Main Street in general be, because it's an open space, should that be on here? If it were a new building option?
I think so. I mean, it's certainly sooner than the MCI Warden's House. So, and it's got some advantages. I mean, we might take it off the long list, but for
Yeah.
now, I'd keep it on the long list. That's
Okay.
my take, but I don't feel strongly about that.
Okay. Peabody's on here, Ripley is on here. And then we have the
Can I
I'm
just
sorry.
mention one thing about Ripley?
Yeah.
And this has nothing to do with the school district, but those fields are widely used by the youth sports teams, by both youth soccer and youth baseball. So that's just another stakeholder in it that might, I don't know, might bubble up to this group.
Yep. Yep.
Well, I mean, in this category here, as far as competing interests, I mean, certainly in terms of the future, I'm just filling this in 2229. Peabody's, we have to define these a little bit.
And I'll find out, there was significant donation made to the school district for the baseball field in particular. And there are lights there, and we did accept that donation. So I think I have a little bit of homework to do on that to kind of see what that investment was. But that just is something to consider when discussing it.
Well, yeah, I think as far as the physical structure of the Ripley building is different than the Ripley site,
Yeah,
right? Because the Ripley site certainly can be repurposed municipally, or it could be, could be sold off. I don't think we want to do that. But, it would make a tremendous outdoor recreational complex, just because of the
totally.
flat land. It would.
It
You just
totally would. Yep.
add on to what you have there. Uh, you might even put an indoor recreational place in place for the building. So,
Amazing.
but
Or
yes, I mean, there are a
housing.
lot.
It would be a good place for housing.
Yeah, so there are competing interests for that site, even
Yeah.
though it might not be the best place for municipal consolidation.
And
But it's on the
especially with, well, like with all of these buildings, I mean, it is right within a neighborhood. So there, you're gonna have a butters to it.
um,
Well, yeah, Peabody does too. They all do. Well,
Yeah, they all do, but you actually enter onto, Merriam Street. And then you get to Ripley, whereas Peabody is its own entrance.
off of what? Old Marlboro
Old
Road.
Marlboro, yeah.
Well, the people on Old Marlboro Road
They
are,
might not feel that way, right?
right. I think you've got a butters there. I think we
Yep.
have, we
Yep,
have.
you always have the abutter situation.
I never thought, in my mind, I never thought the fields at Ripley were part of what we meant when we said Ripley. I thought we were thinking of where the building.
Building space,
yeah,
okay,
That's
no,
that's what I always thought, but
okay.
what other people thought.
no, that definitely. I think we're talking about the building. It wouldn't be building a new building for municipal uses there. Um, although, in the spirit of 229 Main Street, you could put a new building at Ripley's a lot of land there. I mean,
What about the leasing option? What are we doing? That's where we were trying to figure out what's available now on the market and, well, I think we should leave it there for now. And when we get to a part of our conversation where we're moving from long list to short list, I've got some issues with the leasing option that we could talk about.
the leasing option is for staff, and we've had to figure out exactly what the square foot and how much leasing we need, how many people we're talking about. But it becomes problematic for programming space, doesn't it? Because you got schools and senior center, you'd have to lease multiple places or have one place where it's not just office space, it would be program space. So
Yeah.
it's a complicated option. While,
It is, it is, and plus getting back to my point earlier about the way people feel about having municipal buildings be consistent with the historic character, that's the commercial space we have right now is, let's just say, not attractive. The commercial space we have available in town. I don't know, maybe the old Welch's building might be, I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm rambling.
with the Welch's building on Baker Ave.
No, the old Welch's building in the
The
center,
old
on
Welch's building.
100 Main Street, 100 Main, actually, no, that's MBTA zoning. Never mind. That's part of the MBTA overlay. That's not available for this.
Well, it's on the long list here, and I do think that we do have sorry, oh, something's wrong with my screen here. We have costs, at least, for square footage. So we could put a placeholder for
Sure,
leasing costs based on staff, and
Yep.
we could do that.
that sounds good.
How we would do that for programming space, I'm not quite sure. Um, but we keep that on here, so we're saying that's on here.
Well, we have, this particular matrix doesn't capture square footage. So we would probably, do you want to keep this as our central database here? So should we add square footage so that we understand how to price out the leasing option, for example?
Um,
What do you
yeah, I mean, certainly could, because we have that information.
We do,
Um,
we do. You just got to add it and, right.
Yeah. Whoops, wrong place.
Okay, it's 11:20. Anything else we need to talk about before we wrap this up? We've kind of covered a lot of ground, done a lot of good work, so thank
Well,
you.
let's just revisit the data needs, because unless you've captured those in the minutes or a
Yeah.
chat GPT has captured it,
Hoping it's capturing right now if we just quickly review it.
okay.
I've sent an email to Bob and Lori about Ripley operating costs.
Great.
And do you need anything else in terms of Ripley? I think it's about because we had talked about at that tour, doing like, what would we want, what we need versus what we want. I mean, I think we're just making assumptions about what we need, not what we want. Because Ripley has no
That's right.
wants essentially. I mean, I think the question is, if there's more housing built, there will be a need to expand the integrated preschool. And that's the only thing that would probably expand from our perspective. Because that already happened when the shelter came in. We did expand, so that may be a possibility.
Okay.
Okay, so Russ is gonna check on this column, so some of the numbers appear off. We do need a number from Hunt.
I can,
I'll
right,
get,
I
I'll
can,
track that down.
I can break out a column for, away from the operational for total energy costs, because that's easy data to give you guys. For
Okay,
FY 25.
Great.
You know, I just looked at Ripley. Ripley was $110,000 between gas and electric last year. That's a lot of money.
Wait, how
So
much did you say?
110,000 for gas and
Ripley?
electric at Ripley alone.
Yeah.
That's an awful lot of money for just energy.
Completely inefficient building.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It is.
But yeah, so I think the energy side is important since we are a sustainable town and, you know, we have goals and objectives and all that. And we'll just put all that down there and I'll look at the operational savings and I'll break it up the right way. If it's okay
okay,
with you
so
guys.
because I pulled these data off of a sheet that Matt put together for Kerry, so these numbers are probably not correct. So I think we need a
Yeah.
good number for this column, which includes everything. Or you can
Yeah.
break it down, you know, so we can see that. But
Yeah,
we-
Kai's Road campus, 133 and 135, they were $80,000 alone in energy. It didn't cover the outsourced custodial or all the other repairs on the buildings and stuff. So these numbers are a little low.
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. So you'll get those numbers for us, Russ?
Yeah, I'll put those together early next week.
That'd be great. Okay. Are you going to get Hunt Gym as well? I mean, all these buildings? Can you get those numbers for all these buildings, including Hunt? Ross?
Yeah, I can get that. I have it. It's all in one spreadsheet here I can take out.
Great. Okay, I'll try to get some numbers under the first column that we talked about as far as time savings from consolidation. I'll try to get some examples, okay? The quantified examples. I can take that as an action item.
And we also talked about doing the property cards of all the buildings.
Yeah,
Yeah, who wants to do that?
I could do that.
Or I could do it, yeah, either one.
You can ask the assessors if they can output that data for you in the list format.
That's
It
right,
might be
they-
helpful.
Oh, yeah, that would be
And-
great.
And then I think when we meet with the bigger group, I'm gonna, I can email, no, I think Judith's on vacation, but Judith will give us the appraised value for these buildings or give us a formula to figure out how to estimate the appraised value. So that's good.
And can I
Okay.
just ask a question about like, just in terms of like using town staff, just to be cognizant of that? Like any data requests, did they go through like a chair? Did they not? I just wasn't sure if we have any norms so that, you know, the town staff isn't bombarded by a question from each individual member.
We usually go through Carrie.
Okay. On any data request and then she gets it? Okay.
Yes. So I think those are the action items that we've got so far. And then down below, do we have any action items that you?
Yeah, I think, well, first of all, I think we have to have a conversation on, so we have to get the staff numbers a little bit tighter. And some of them are easy. This one is hard. We need to talk to Alan about Alan and I guess it's Alan, which staff here
Yeah.
are movable into municipal consolidation versus which staff would have to go where the public works goes.
Yeah, and I think just to be clear, it's not that complicated, really. Just and I'll share
Okay.
that. So
Okay.
what I want to be careful is we don't make up, sort of we can make this work. I think we're going to need some guidance or look at sort of what is the industry norms. I will tell you this. Our admin group works closely with our operations group, all of it. We are an operations bent entity, so separating staff, there's been questions on can water sewer go to a different area than the rest of the operations? The answer is going to be yes, they could, but is that ideal? Is that what we're after? And, I would make a case that the public works should be unified with the exception of what I'd call satellite facilities that are really water or wastewater treatment facilities. Those need to be separate, but otherwise, ideally, the group collectively works closely together and, space apart is not ideal. So we can give you, Public Works has about 60 plus or minus staff. It's inclusive of admins, managers, technical people, and operations. And we work most seamlessly when there is, connectivity with those. That's all I can say. So I would say, you could put a number in there of 60 plus or minus, and ideally they would be located together, ideally.
Okay,
Well, I can look the
Yeah.
question for this group, and we're almost out
Yeah.
of time here, and maybe
Okay,
it's
we're
for the
running out.
larger group. For the larger
Yeah.
group is whether that is in the public works subgroup domain or is in the
Correct.
municipal consolidation domain.
And I'll
I
make
don't
sure to
think.
sort of bring that up to the task group on the public works, so they'll bring that information forward.
Okay, so this is a question here. The other question is hunt
Yes,
and the recreation, not the programs, because I think they
It-
stay in hunt. We're not getting rid of hunt, but is that a staff issue?
I will take that. I will talk with Jess about that through
Okay,
Carrie.
okay. Okay, so those are the action items, I believe.
That's it, right. And then we were gonna come back to talking about the cadence of our meetings. And
Yeah, well,
before
we
we
should
wrap up,
should we set the next meeting?
we probably should. And
Yeah.
Tracy, meetings are so fun. Don't you want to
They're
do them
so
often?
fun. No, I do love it. I just feel bad when I can't come. And it's not because I don't want to be here, but because I think it's important. Okay.
Okay, so let's everybody check their calendar and figure out our next meeting.
Or even to like if I know it's like gonna be Wednesdays, then it's gonna be Wednesdays. Like maybe we could stick to a date and stick to a
Okay.
time if
Okay.
possible.
Okay,
I think that would be helpful.
how about Wednesdays at 10?
That works. Hold on. We have school committee on Wednesday nights, but typically that's totally fine.
I'm sorry, Wednesday, what?
I mean, Wednesdays at 10, because
I
I
said-
think you bump into the chair's breakfast sometimes.
We do.
And
And then-
so 10
I'm
is.
sorry,
yes.
I'm sorry, the 10th of what?
No,
No.
Wednesdays at 10 o'clock AM.
Oh, Wednesdays at 10.
Wednesdays at
Okay.
10, yes.
So which Wednesday is our next meeting?
So that would be October 1st.
Okay. That's fine during the day. Yep.
Yeah.
And then I'm on vacation for a while, so I'll miss the next one. But that's okay. You guys can,
So were you on vacation the 15th?
I am.
And are you on vacation the 22nd?
I am.
Oh, are you going anyplace good? Where are you going?
Going to Paris. in 2
Oh
weeks.
my gosh, that's amazing. Okay.
I know, isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it? Sometimes
Yes.
life is good.
Life is good. Take off all your meetings.
Life
All right,
is
so do you want to do the 1st and the 15th, and then every other would be the 29th.
That's good.
You need it.
Yep.
So you're available on the 29th?
Yes.
So yeah, Word.
And then it would go to November 12th. And then I would say we should not meet on the 26th because it's the day before Thanksgiving and I'm not,
Good idea, good idea.
want to just leave those for now and
Yeah,
then
let's leave those for now.
regroup.
Yep, that's good.
I'll send a calendar invite out for you guys today.
Okay, who's going to
Thank
chair
you.
next time? Tracy, you want to chair at our October 1?
Sure,
Great.
sure.
And
Now
I'll
in terms
clerk.
of building the agenda, how do you
Yep.
want to build the agenda? Are we just going to continue down this path of our to-do items and then
think so.
move from there?
You
Okay,
think so, Paul?
Yeah, I think we should take a look at a deliverable and yeah, maybe just look at that and make sure we're covering all the bases where we have to have in that report and when we have to report it. So I
You
think we
want
should.
me to, that's a great, do you want me to send an email to Judith and Sven and say, can you give us a date?
Yeah,
Okay, I'll copy everybody there.
yeah.
Okay, okay, good.
Or you can just send it. You shouldn't copy us because it's deliberation,
Oh,
sorry.
you're right, you're right, you're right. Well, I'm just asking for information,
I
but,
know.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, true.
yeah.
we just want to, we need to pin a date when we gotta get something on paper, so. But I'll just email them and I'll let you know.
All right, and if there's anything that either one of you want on the agenda specifically, so we'll have the matrix, and Paul, if you send the updated matrix. And then we'll talk about deliverables, but it'll be a loose agenda unless you have something additional to add to it.
I think completing, populating this agenda is, I mean, this matrix is
Matrix, yeah.
what we're about right now. So
Yeah,
I,
let's try to fill all these
Yeah.
data needs between now and then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe I will just put an agenda item called new business in case anything comes up.
Yep.
yep, and public comment too.
Public comment, yep.
Great. Okay. We're
And
good.
Shannon, I'll
Great.
send you that.
Very good. We did a lot of work. Thank you very much. We'll see each other in 2 weeks, I guess, on October 1st.
We have to roll call out and then because we'll have the time for the minutes.
That's right. We've got a meeting. We're going to be with the bigger group a week from this Friday before we meet again, but that's okay.
Yep. Okay, so I'm gonna move to adjourn at 11:33.
Second,
This is myself, yes. Tracy?
yes.
Yes.
Paul, yes. Good.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.